The sun is shining, there's a grid of getting on for 60 cars, close on 180 drivers here at Monza in Italy for the opening round of the Blancpain Endurance Series. And John Watson, we are in for a fantastic race because across the three classes, Pro, Pro-Am and the newly titled AMs, there are some fantastic battles in prospect.
I think the main object we're going to have, or main problem we're going to have this weekend is going to be a commentator's nightmare, remembering the names of the 180 or so drivers. And of course, I mean, it's a massive field. The other thing that's really noticeable here to me over the weekend, I wonder why our Ferrari is so quick in a straight line at Monza. Now, am I a rocket scientist, or does it not take too much power to work out? Maybe it's the air, it's the Monza air is the reason why 16 of the fastest cars in a straight line, 14 of Ferrari 458, most of which are driven by the amateurs, the gentleman drivers. And that all, for me, is going to make an amazingly interesting sort of juxtaposition of how do the pro drivers, the hot rods, we're getting more and more of them coming in to Blancpain Enduro as well as Blancpain Sprint, how are they going to find their way past these really quick cars on a circuit which of course is dominated by top speeds? And it's a conundrum we're not going to solve. That's their problem, so they can sort it out. We've just got to commentate on it.
The other element to all of this is traffic, because going into qualifying, getting a clear lap is going to be very, very difficult. And then from what, lap 10, maybe earlier, come the race, the quick cars will always be in traffic, and then it's traffic for the best part of 3 hours. Getting a clear lap for the whole day is very, very difficult.
Well, I think everybody will be trying very hard to find that magical clear lap in the qualifying session, which is about to start. But really, ultimately, it's the race and knowing track position, and there will be periods where you could be running very quickly on an individual lap and you'll come up against a group of maybe 5 or 6 or more cars, and how you cherry pick your way past those cars because you're the quicker car, but you may not have always the speed and sectors of the circuit where you need it, and that's going to show then the real skill and racecraft of everybody in the field. And it doesn't just apply to the hot rods, it applies to everybody. And I mean, it's all part of the balance of performance mix to ensure that we don't see one make, one brand, one whatever dominating, and it not just the brand, but maybe 10 or so of that brand that are competing here this weekend. Altogether a fascinating prospect. And
it's not just on track that things are getting a bit leery, because over our shoulder is this very, very, very busy pit lane. Now, if everybody comes in at the same time to do a pit stop, there's going to be no room in here. It's going to be so tight, isn't it? And that could win or lose you the race.
Just interesting, looking at the pit lane, the Bentley and the Audi teams are at the very end of the pit lane, just a very short run back onto the racetrack. They can organise the points which the respective drivers are going to come in. So they're not going to have the congestion. If you look down the middle of the pit lane or the beginning of the pit lane, if you've got neighbours on one side and the other stopping at the point you want to stop, the gap that they're going to leave you probably isn't sufficient to get your car turned in and straight to enable the tyres to be changed, for refueling to take place. For the drivers, it's not a big problem. The people at the end of the pit lane have got a distinct advantage during their pit stops. People in the middle or beginning, they're going to have to be very friendly with their neighbours, I would say.
And of course, if we get a safety car period as well and people all dive in at the same time, that's going to be another factor of a race that is wide open. We've had already so far the bronze test for the amateur drivers, we've had free practice, and we've had pre-qualifying. But out of those sessions on track yesterday, no real proper indication of a car or a driver's form has been there. They've been cycling through different programs, running different drivers, giving the less experienced more track time. We're about to go into qualifying here at Monza. Now we'll start to see who the quick drivers are, and it all bodes well, not just for a great race here at Monza, but for an epic Blancpain Endurance season.